All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good now. My name is Ryan Erickson, and I am here on behalf of the BetaCodex Network and Red 42 Consulting Conglomerate and Consortium based out of Wiesbaden, Germany. And I'm here today to talk about the issue of what is perceived to be the impossibility of transformation from an authoritarian, autocratic, hierarchical organization to a more democratic, decentralized, more holistic organization. And what kind of excuses are put out there, either in public or when keeping the names out of the conversation in private to say, well, why is it not possible here? What's the reason? What are the reasons why uh, people resist? Maybe do they think it's resistance, or what is it? What is it? There's it fear. Why is decentralization, democratization viewed as crazy? So I'm waiting on Neil's here for a moment. He'll be here, I'm sure, in a minute or two. Hopefully, he's okay. Right now it's just me. So if you want, actually, we'll try a little experiment this morning. If you want to talk about this and what you think, you can message me in LinkedIn privately, and I could give you the link to join me here if you want it, and we can actually have a talk about the Beta Codex and what kind of conversation you hear about the excuses that are present and in the world for why beta transformation isn't right for an alpha organization. So a lot of this came up from the other day. I saw a post that Niels put out about this topic. It was here. The most people believe beta is impossible to bring about here. They all have the reason: middle managers, someone's maturity level, or personal interests, large legal restrictions, work councils, blah blah blah. They're wrong. Okay, so the first excuse we'll talk about: middle managers. Well, these middle managers, they're the messy middle. They are the problem. Oh my goodness, I have a visitor. I have a visitor in the session. So they're the problem. I'll tell you who's not the problem is the person I'm going to bring in here in this conversation. Niels Flagging. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon or good now. You're on mute. I can't hear you. Hello. Okay. I'm assuming you can hear me. Everyone can hear me out there in the world. Yes, you got me. Okay, we're gonna hold on. I'm gonna riff. Gonna be here. You're in the waves.
Now I'm here.
You are here. Well, I hope you're okay. Have you?
You kind of confused me. I think with we starting this session at half the hour.
Yes, we're starting half the hour because I thought there's some folks here in the U.S. who may want to kind of take us in on the way to work. Maybe 7 o'clock's a little early in their time.
Great idea. It's just that I wasn't even remotely prepared for this insight. I thought we would start in half an hour. Sorry for that.
Well, this is okay. This is okay. I was starting to till the soil here of why people get blamed, for won't work here, won't beta's not for us. We don't. The management doesn't trust us to make decisions, that management has the answers, all this kind of BS that we talk about a lot. And I have some theories. I've kind of popped started to hint at them. I think the first one, and we may just shut the episode off after this, but it's this theory X assumption that individuals are not intrinsically motivated. They are not that people, in order to do something, they need to be coerced and have some kind of pushing on them.
Yes.
Which who would stand up? I'm sure you've done this before. I've done it before. Okay, who out there who believes that people want to be incentivized and carrot and sticked and do and that do you raise that? Oh, who else is here like that? Yes, everyone else is like that. Well, who identifies that way as himself? No one raises their hand. So there we have the problem. So this is the blaming that happens. That well, of course we need incentives and yeah,
and controls, steering, and budgets, and whatever you need to control people, right, or their behaviors.
Yes, and that
Which
absent.
is not bullshit. It's just a prejudice,
Okay. Yeah,
it's a projection because we perceive people's behavior in the existing system and assume that people are like that instead of assuming the conditions we created suck. So people show sucky behavior according to the existing sucking system. So yeah, it's not entirely bullshit. By the way, I yesterday and the day before, I had a workshop with a group of 30 people. Something like a thought clinic, just a reflection learning workshop. So it was not geared towards transformation necessarily, but we had a lot of these. There were a lot of these questions that had the suspicion that there are theory X people on board, right? So you always need to and I think there's no way around addressing the human side of the enterprise, so to speak, the human nature topic. It needs to be explicitly addressed, I think, always. Otherwise, the prime excuse is it cannot work here because of our people, their maturity levels, managers suck, everybody sucks, they are not ready, they do not want, they cannot be trusted, they do not, do not have potential, whatever. They are not theory people.
Yeah, it's not my responsibility. It's them. That I don't take that.
Yes, I am not the problem, but they are. And of course, some zeitgeist thingy, I think that has popped up more and more over the last 10 years, I observe, is to insinuate that others are afraid. They have fear.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of the change, the transformation. I am not afraid of self-organization, but they are. It's always them, right? So that's another subtopic, I think, of that. Yeah, they are afraid. They cannot deal well with change. They are not mature enough. They are not there yet. Just not
maturity, right?
But they are. It's always them.
Well, absolutely. And so we also have a comment in here too that you might might bring into the conversation. That beta might be difficult. Folks may perceive the difficulty there because of a delicate balance among discipline, ambition, selflessness, and empathy. So think about that for a moment.
Yeah, it requires a higher level of awareness, which this addresses, right? This is pretty well. I personally, I do not like the term empathy, because I think empathy is a technique that is learned to understand others and manipulate others. And the thing is compassion. I think compassion is so discipline, ambition, selflessness, compassion would be my framing. But I think what's in this very nice comment here, thank you, is this, like democracy, beta is challenging. And it requires that every member of the organization takes responsibility, normal responsibility, like a citizen in a democracy. Yeah.
It's an expectation of citizenship, an expectation of ownership, and we
discussed that in the last episode as well, by the way.
Yeah. It's and I mean all of these themes, they come together. They tie together, don't they? I mean, that's the whole point of having these 12 principles, that it's not as if you pick and choose that, oh, you have autonomy without without
Responsibility.
a responsibility, without
Yes.
consultative process, without all
Yes.
of these kinds of things that go on.
Yes. Yes.
That it's yeah. So,
And of course, beta, I think it's beautifully coined here. It requires discipline, ambition, selflessness, and empathy slash
compassion
combined. It's a very, very well made point in that contribution here. It requires our whole humanness, and command and control doesn't require that. I mean, command and control assumes that most people can just be followers, cogs, stones, or behave like modern day slaves, willing instruments of managerial wisdom, and executive or leaders, willing underlings. That's what we suggest in not what we suggest, of course, but that's what command and control ideology, talking of leaders and leading and high potentials, low potentials, all of that suggests. Yeah.
The potentiality of an individual to that they have leadership potential. Well, who doesn't have that? So who and this is another thing that came in, that then we say beta is for everybody. We say
What does opting out? Look, there's another question by that colleague. What does opting out, even temporarily, look like? How do you anticipate and account for a lazy day? Yeah, a lazy day. Everybody has a lazy day, right? And if you have a team, in a beta organization, you have a team, and those others will have to cope with your lazy day that you are taking, or they will tell you, screw you, you can have your lazy day at home. Here we work. Don't be it's lazy day afterwards. After the deed is done, the work's deed is done.
Well, this is the thing, that because you have each team or ensemble, whatever system of people, has their own agreements that they make, have their own level of social density that they have their own responsibility to whatever results they create, and the level of compassion that they show for one another is a social norm in that system. So, and that depends on the agreements they have with one another,
Yeah,
and with
related
their
to the discipline and ambition that you can expect from everybody in a democracy. Even I can expect everyone not to vote for a fascist party. I can expect every citizen not to vote for fascists, and we should have lively debate about that, what that is, and why that matters, and why we can allow no slack. But it reminds me of a thing that. There was a famous sports team back in the days when I was part of the Beyond Budgeting Roundtable, Team Alinghi. They won these sailing awards, I think, sailing from Switzerland. Can you imagine that?
Oh,
they have they have lakes at best. But okay, yeah, Team Alinghi was very successful.
No wind.
Competitive sailing teams, and they won all the competitions. And one of the principles they had was no babysitting. So you go on board. If you are part of the team, there's no slack. You cannot have you can have a bad day, but then don't appear, and that will be somebody else. But you cannot. There's no babysitting around here. That's a very important principle. I think alpha organizations are based on slack, fear, intimidation, learned helplessness. It's part of the way of running a command and control organizations, is building on that slack and that assumption that everybody is disabled in a way.
So say more about slack. I want to make sure I understand your definition of slack there.
Opting out, no? That's what the question. Somebody opts out for a day, for a week.
Slacker. Oh, like being a slacker.
Slacker. Yes. Yeah. You're right. Good point. Thank you for correcting me. Yes.
Well, this is, and I think this is also part of the hierarchical thing, and that the other, we talk about, hey, the team says screw you, right? So no, get out. Isn't that command and control? No, it's not.
I don't understand. What is it?
So if you were saying, and if you're in a team and then, you're having a lazy day, but we're doing this, screw you, get out. I think you said that. Well, I think you said that, but okay. So
it's not screw you. If you show up, you deliver.
Well, but if you don't show up, I think that's the point. If I'm having a day, if I'm not up to the challenge for this day to do this work that we have in front of us as a team, then I think he said it. if that team's norms are such that there's this density in the social density, well, no, I wouldn't say screw you like
It's
that.
like,
That's just not my way.
this is the double. The question is interesting, I think, because look, if I have to undergo a surgery, I had that once. It's not a comfortable situation. Everybody who's in this situation, when I undergo surgery as a patient, everybody must be up to their game. If they show up, they must deliver, right? Nobody
Right. Well, they're high
be
stakes.
or if I go to a store, I'm a big fan of Aldi here in Germany, Trader Joe's
Yeah.
in America, for example.
Aldi's here too. Aldi's great.
Yeah. If a person showing up at work there needs to perform as well. You cannot have a cashier who just, no, I'm not feeling well. I feel indisposed. No. In real professions, real professionalism means you perform. You show up, you perform. Can you be ill? Yes, but then do not show up. Yeah, or if you still show up at work, perform. So I think we have, this is a zeitgeist thing for me, this kind of topic. By the way, thank you for the contributions. Right?
Yeah,
I think we have. This is maybe part of the agile scene. In the agile scene, nobody performs anymore. Nobody needs to think. They think they just you just show up with all your wisdom and your brilliance, and that you save the world by showing. No. You also have to do the shit.
No? I don't know exactly where that's coming from, but
isn't that so in the agile sphere? You have a coder who has to do the fucking work, and everybody else just watches. That's for me.
There was that video. Oh my god, Paradoxon, the agile. Like there's one person coding, and there's 5 people watching around, and
or 60 these days.
Well, there's many of the developers have there. I've seen developer complaints on Reddit about that as well. I've got a Scrum Master, Project Manager, Program Manager, Product Owner, and I've got 2 coders and 10 people sitting around saying how,
and that's called Scrum. It's not Scrum.
Yeah, and it's the bastardization and the dissembly of what was into corporate hell. I wanted to get back to,
of course, deviating from the topic. By the way, I think there are more of these posts. Do you want to do you take a look, Ryan, because you can highlight? That person is writing, or are these several people? I'm not sure.
No, this is my friend Robert Snyder, who I just
I love
encountered last week. So yeah,
thank you for contributing.
So this first one,
differences exist among sampling error, systemic error, and systematic errors. Yeah, that sounds like Deming, right? Systemic error and he distinguished between the system, the problem coming from the system, and the problem coming from the person, and that needs to be distinguished. Human error is different from institutional error. Yes, that's very Deming-esque, by the way. Sampling error, I think that's a different thing, but maybe I'm misinterpreting. Yeah, brilliant. Yes, distinguishing these helps to avoid perfection, and it helps to avoid mistaking the coincidence or the person problem with the system from the thing that you have to bring under control. That's what Deming and others like Schuhart and so on taught us. You have to bring the system under control so that it performs within boundaries that you understand, and you have to understand the systemic capability. You must distinguish the occasional, the personal attribute and error from the systemic error, so to speak. I remember. I forgot the vocabulary, how that is correctly framed.
I remember. I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. I think it was good God.
But we are deviating from the topic of the session, right?
Indeed.
But we always do that a little bit, but
yeah, a little bit. But the excuses, right? What are the excuses that that there's a dependency, right?
Yes.
There's an assumption. This is what I was going to say, that the dependency on I'm responsible for the work, but I don't have the authority to make decisions, nor am I accountable, or I'm accountable to boss, but and all I have is the responsibility to do the work. So, and can imagine how deflating that feels. But in a beta organization, the way that the small teams and the cells are work, there's a packaging of accountability, responsibility, and authority, and this social the social density of an
Yes.
ensemble working together closely. And doesn't mean that there's no conflict. It doesn't mean that there's uniformity, that we in the cell have to all think the same way.
Yes.
It is the fact that we have unity and that there is agreement, that there's not, and this
Unity,
whole,
not uniformity, as Mary Parker Follett said.
yeah, and I'm addicted to quotes. I have to bring those in, but those are such wonderful quotes, and that following purpose, a heartful, joyful, this purposeful work, not some uh, terrorist, fascist purpose, to destroy the world, but following the purpose, not the person. That we are traveling together with this
Yes.
bundle of authority, accountability, and responsibility.
Yes. Yes. Our friend here on LinkedIn, he just wrote, we can adopt routines and governance that includes two-way, multi-directional accountability. That's what Mary Parker Follett called power with instead of power over. Power over command and control, power with this is multi-directional really, because it's not about up, top, down, but it's about people with each other, performing with each other, for each other in a network of, and in teams and within networks of teams. That's exactly what we're talking about. By the way, back to I would say personally, back to our topic. Yeah, what's the number one excuse everywhere not to go beta? I think it's our human nature assumptions. I think that's the number one. It's the top one reason. Theory X thing.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I put middle managers in there, but that's it. It's about them. Right?
That's maybe top two. That's the second top topic. Middle managers do not want it. Organization distrust them. Yeah, it's another great excuse. And I in the workshop I noticed another one. I would call it the zero-sum game paradigm. Yeah, which is, okay, if you transform from command and control, total shit, to beta, democratic, decentralized, self-organized, consistently self-organized, then the assumption is somebody must lose. And as the managers will lose something, they will lose control and power, transforming from command and control to beta. The managers will lose, and they do not want that, so it's impossible to do beta. That's the zero-sum game assumption of excuses.
Okay, so did you want to say more about that?
Yeah, I think it's an experience gained from change management, where there are always losers in change management. We want to be participative so that they do not feel that they lose something. Kind of trick them with participation, that they do not feel the loss. And also in change management, there will always be people fired, reduced, costs slashed, so there will be losers, right? Yeah. So people are, I think, accustomed to observe change process as win-lose.
Right.
Stuff. Zero-sum games. Something will be redistributed, some win, some lose.
Well, and I think this is why there's this imprecision about resistance to change, and that people just resist. People but people have reasons to display their, for their behavior. Well, I don't understand exactly why this change is happening. Could you explain to me the lie? So, I don't agree with that because that is opening a space for dissent. That is having an actual productive conversation about the change, and that opting in and agreeing to what's happening, instead of just, oh, you're afraid, you're a resistor, you may be exited from the building. You, my friend, are not on the bus.
I think that's another resistance. Resistance assumption is another top cause of top excuse, right? In organizations, people resist everything. Everything is resisted.
Yeah.
Do not want change, right? Which is ultimately underled by theory X assumptions about human nature and mistaken assumptions about the nature of change. But I think just to accentuate the zero-sum game thing, some people will lose, and nobody wants to lose. So beta cannot work because some people will lose power, middle managers and top managers. So they will never want beta because they will lose something. And the point that I'm trying to make is transformation, as we define it, from command and control alpha to decentralized responsive beta. It is not a zero-sum game. It is a game in which everybody wins, guaranteed, which is counterintuitive, right? In this logic that, in beta and decentralization, managers lose control, lose decision-making authority, and so on. No. It's like my preferred allegory to this is, in a family, if you have kids, Ryan, you have an adult kid, right?
Yes, I do.
At a certain point, you have to start negotiating with your kids where to spend vacation time, where to travel, what to do with your spare time, right? So when in some moment of puberty of our children, if we have them, you have to start negotiating with them where to go. In Germany, for example, do we go to Switzerland or Italy or to the coast also, or to whatever island?
Makes me wish I'd have grown up in Germany, but okay.
Yeah, there's so many options. Yeah, or do we want to go to the Netherlands? Yeah. So there are so many options, and then of course, once you have children, grown-up children, or in puberty or beyond puberty, they want to have a word. Yeah. Before puberty, you usually can kill it. I want to go to New York. Fuck you. Yeah. We have other plans. We want to.
Note. This is not Neil's parenting advice.
No, it's not advice at all, and it was just a humorous.
Of course.
I wasn't that kind of father, but yeah.
But you're. I mean, but there's a sense of, in that case, there is a maturity issue. There's someone who's 3-4 years old. They don't understand the rules of the world, and
you can trick your small children into doing what you think is interesting. But then the point I'm trying to make is, so in that situation, talking vacation with your kids, you lose the power to make the decisions by yourself as a couple, usually as mother and father or whatever couple you are. So you lose the power to make the decision yourself. You have to share the decision with your kids in a way, right? You have to find a way to, and beyond mere participation, because kids are smart. Yeah. So so you lose power, but that doesn't make you less powerful. It's a different kind of power, different kind of balance. It's power with instead of power over. And so, so you do not. Power that is shared doesn't lead to loss of power. Like in a democracy, the citizen still has a lot of power, lots of to influence. Yeah,
well,
and everybody has more power in a democracy than there's a total sum of smiles goes up in a democracy compared to an authoritarian regime. It's clear. Yeah. So giving up top management power, command and control power, doesn't make you less powerful. It makes you more influential. It's power, like information, is not a zero-sum game. You share information, you don't lose it. So sharing information is not a zero-sum game either.
And there's addition. There's something new created out of that sharing of information that would not have been created by either person alone. It's not as if we're all cassette tapes, copying each other in generation by generation and having the audio quality go down to shit in 3 generations. That the authority and the power, if shared, it is more powerful because there are more people, more perspectives, more eyes on the challenge at hand, or the possibilities and the opportunities available. So
yeah. By the way, here's a comment: zero-sum games might resemble greed, selfishness. Not sure why you jump to that conclusion. To me, this is zero-sum games, I suppose.
Well, there are some games that the rules are set up for winners and losers, right? So if you are keeping score in a game of football, for example, you have 2 competing teams on a pitch of this dimension, goal, and somebody wins at the end, somebody loses, or, well, of course, in football, there could be a tie at the end, but
sports,
league competition, right? Yeah. But that's all opt-in. We're opting into that competition. That's not this infinite game of we're creating with people for ongoing purposes and for that reason. So there are rules, but they don't.
And selfishness play a big role in zero-sum games, or can play a big. They do not necessarily play a big game, but they can play a big game. And of course, in other situations that are not zero-sum, it's ridiculous to behave greedy or selfish. For example, innovation or the unfolding, the potentiality of mankind, of humanity, it's endless. So there's no need to for example, to fight competitors is usually ridiculous because competition in markets is usually not a zero-sum game. Yeah, you can grow the market if you behave accordingly. You can fight the other and fight for market share that's already distributed, or you can do things to grow a market. And of course, these games, they need to be distinguished. It's a very interesting thing, right? And change, again, our assumptions often are that this must be, somebody must lose in this shit, right? In this beta shit. Somebody must be a loser. And oh no, company owners might be, no, there are no losers. Beta organization means to organize in a much better way so that everybody can win through all the stakeholders.
It's not about, typically when we hear change, reorganization, we're gonna transform this organization, and lean gets a bad rap of this too, and has in the years. This lean transformation. We're gonna trim the fat. We're going to make it lean. We're gonna get rid of those. We're gonna get them.
Lean has too often been abused for cost cutting, or and agile has now so often been abused for better steering and more efficient steering, which is all these frameworks, right? As long as we allow people to abuse a concept like lean for cost cutting, people reduction, like that's what re-engineering apparently was abused to. I think re-engineering was a fabulous idea in principle to design value creation from scratch, mentally first, and then do it. But then it was normal. The normal mode of doing it was really for cost cutting, reduction, and so on. And that I think cost management and cost reduction is a crime. Yeah, it can only be done by teams. So you need teams to fight waste and improve value creation. That's the way it should be done. Yes. But this whole idea of let's do a little bit lean, but let's allow managers to do a little bit of cost cutting on the side with it. That's just, it's grotesque.
Well, yeah, isn't this whole beta thing, isn't this just a ruse to do to reorganize and do more cost cutting? I mean, maybe that, I don't know if I've never heard that, but again, we're talking about excuses today. And that is, well,
and I think one excellent excuse to not do beta is to suppose, but then we would be more efficient. We'd have to cut people. No. If you make the whole organization much more effective and efficient, by the way, as well, through beta, why would you fire anyone? You don't have to fire anyone. Why would you? You just have more effectiveness, so more you can pay people more. You can pay the shareholder more.
You can do more for your customers, for your clients. You can create more in the world. You have more capacity. You're doing more. You're being more. I mean, this is, and folks would say this is scarcity versus abundance. That thing of that. Why would and this is greed and selfishness thing. So if I take, I'm taking from you, as opposed to that there is abundant capacity and capability within those of us as human beings to do with each other. And if we do that, we create more than what we were individually. And so this is another thing that came up when I was thinking about this is, you're talking about this kind of group accountability with no individual performance measurements. Boy, that sounds socialist. That sounds communist to me. That won't work in this rugged individualist culture that we have. That's
that you have in America. Yes, that's true.
Well, I mean, but that's a theming. That's an othering bit too. Is that's not realizing that what we're talking about is just a realization that no one person creates an entire, I don't create the whole tractor that gets sold by John Deere out in the world.
No fucking individual performance.
No, it is all performance. And now that doesn't mean that there aren't contributions that are, you have revenue production at the periphery that happens, and then that there are compensation decisions that happen because of this idea of conditional income. Right, we talk
all
about
performance is performing with each other for each other. All performance in organizations, especially, is performing with each other for each other. There is no individual performance. All performance is with each other for each other. It's very simple. It's that if you
all performance is with each other.
Colleague. Disagreeing is okay, indeed necessary. Yeah, can you pick that? The disagreeing is okay, demonizing is not. Blaming is not okay. Exactly. And of course, that's blaming. The culture of blaming and heroism is a huge inhibitor of actual transformation, of beta transformation, of actual lean, actual agility, of real transformation that deserves a name. Blaming, demonizing, or worship, aggrandizing heroes, leaders, and so that doesn't work. It will never work. You can never bring about self-organization if you still look for heroes and those who are guilty. How are they called? How is that called in English? People who are guilty.
Victims or victims,
No, no.
criminals,
Yeah, no. What's
perpetrators.
perpetrators, so to speak? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So yes, I wanted to suggest another little thing that I think is an inhibitor, an excuse, and I call it the compromise and middle way excuse. That's a tendency, I think, in people who seek harmony in their lives and in their relationships, to assume that alpha and people who cannot stand the distinction between alpha and beta, theory X and theory Y, who think there must be a middle way. There must be a middle way between fascism and democracy. There must be a middle way. No, there is no. In some things there is no middle way. In some things there is a middle way. Yes, true. If I mix white color, black color, green, gray, middle way. Yes. Okay, grayish. Yes, but not everything has a middle way. In some things, we need to take a stance. In democracy, for example, we need to have a stance for democracy to fight authoritarianism. And this stance, alpha and beta, they do not mix. You cannot mix command and control and decentralization and self-organization. These are opposed ways of operating. Yes.
There are
the middle way hypothesis. Oh, there must be a third way. I'm so brilliant. There must be another model. There's alpha and beta, and there must be gamma or delta. Yeah, no. Yeah, because some things you do not need more. Alpha sucks with real people and in complexity, while beta functions with real people and in democracy. And it's you do not need more modes. The illusion that everything must be grayish and there must be compromise. Compromise sucks, as Mary Parker Follett always said. The worst thing you can do is compromise, because in compromise everybody loses. You have a different opinion than I, or a different viewpoint. If we see compromise, everybody loses. Compromise is not ideal. Compromise is not the best way. The best way is integration, according to Mary Parker. Beyond, to appreciate the conflict as an enabler to seek a better solution that no single one of us could come up with. Yeah, that's
well. And this, I think, integration is a good point. I think that is the inoculation against this this win-lose kind of thought, and I think that also integration requires maturity. It requires grace. It requires compassion. I think to be able to hear someone spout something that you may think is crazy, and then so tell me more, and then and reach a shared understanding. I think that's possible, but there's a point. Again, taking a stand, I think, is integration is different, I think, than what am I trying to say here is that I don't want to give up on people, right? So my belief is in the universal human good. This is like being theory Y to the nth degree, but being realistic in a conflicted environment. I mean, it's not easy. So no one is saying this is easy. No one is saying that creating decentralized, democratized, mastery-based authority, responsibility, accountability, understanding that you and a small group have a profit and loss statement. They're all, it's not easy, but it's worth it.
It's not easy, but people do not want easy. They want to have pride at work. They want to feel joy at work. They want to experience growth, potentiality, each other's potentiality. They're with each other, for each other. They want to feel value creation. People do not want purpose. I think they want to just feel that what they do serves something or somebody.
Well,
That
and that
is
we could argue
that is
that purpose, right? So and Robert's also
purpose is not
contributed.
something vague or lofty. Improv teaches us that none of us is smaller than all of us. Somebody wrote on LinkedIn. Beautiful. Yeah, totally. Exactly. Improv teaches us, and work should tell us that as well. None of us is smarter than all. By the way, this reminds me of another lame excuse against, and I brought this up in our workshop yesterday in my workshop with a company, with a client. I brought up, of course, we both love him. I brought up Harry Bosch.
Oh, yes.
Because one of the lame excuses to not do beta, to not do actual transformation in the way we frame it here, is to say, let's try a pilot first. Let's do an experiment. Let's try it with some little department. We are also already willing, so let's try it for ourselves, and fuck the others. That's implicit in we had this. We had a big laugh. The client. There was a group of 30 people and we had big laughs about this. This notion that you just have to, if you are a big company and very much in command and control, very Tayloristic, very bureaucratic, how about we just set up a new little company, a branch or so in Berlin, really cool, really hip, where we can experiment something different, and then that will bestow wisdom on the home part, the home base, the obnoxious command and control shit home base at some point, and then we will all be enlightened by the pure flavor and sweetness.
By the shining light here,
the shining
in
light
Berlin.
there in Berlin, in our lab or pilot or whatever, then we will all magically transform, be illuminated by the shining light, beacon of light that we have created. That's all bullshit. It's a bullshit narrative.
But what about me? What about everybody else? It's not good enough for everybody else? Is that
exactly?
Does it have?
That's why I love the Harry Bosch, who's a fake, who's a character from a TV show.
Michael Connelly in novels.
Michael,
a fictional character.
Great Michael Connelly. It's a great TV show, and this Harry Bosch, he has this this meme. It's really his life theme, I think. Yeah, everybody counts, or nobody counts. So either you want beta for all and for humanity and for your people in your organization, for everyone. Everybody deserves it, or nobody deserves it. Fuck experiments. Fuck labs, fuck pilots. It doesn't work. Not because I'm against advancement and small steps. I'm not against that. I'm totally pro small steps. The point is just you cannot. How can you try to do the right thing for a small minority, for some, and leave everybody else behind, or discriminate everybody else? It smells like, it doesn't smell like it's at all.
Well, it's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy because we're saying, oh, this group is good enough and these folks aren't. Now, and that's different than saying, okay, so we have 200,000 people in this organization.
Yes.
Right. It doesn't mean we can transform every place every time at once. Well, I'm saying that the flips happen in steps, but so we can talk about the details of it.
A series of flips.
There's a series of flips.
Many flips,
and that's so there's a sense of practicality to it, but that doesn't mean the principles change. That means no, this way of behavior in an organization, this sociocultural system that we are building, we are redesigning, and this is the we that are all of 200,000 of us are doing together, and it will happen in 90 days here, 90 days there, 90 days there, but this is happening. And
I think there is an interesting comment here by our colleague on LinkedIn. You can proceed with full confidence, but I believe it's difficult. That's already indicates that our colleague here is in doubt, which is okay, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible, right? He just said, he finds it hard to believe, or she finds it hard to believe. It's difficult to change direction 90 degrees instantaneously. I would say the opposite. Let's imagine that you have a process of, for example, in open space beta, there is an open space. People get invited to it. They socialize the invitation before the open space happens. Then they socialize and communitarize, and they start agreeing on things during the open space. So they cannot not agree, on certain things. So let's assume that this kind of process in open space beta, at least, it creates a joint understanding of direction. And then everybody individually, it can be hundreds of thousands of people, walks into that direction, figuratively speaking. Yes. Okay, we now understand the direction, and then we all walk into that direction. We can still deviate, but it's roughly that direction. And nothing can stop the advancement. The point is that you need to have the direction. That when the BetaCodex network, we say you need a set of principles like the BetaCodex laws of the BetaCodex, the 12 principles of beta, so that direction is clear. And then, you do not have to understand at first everything in detail, but you have to set the direction for everyone. In open space beta, the sponsor does that by inviting everyone, all the willing, to join her or him doing an open space first, and then do the transformation during 90 days. So that you are right, dear fellow colleague on LinkedIn.
Robert is right. Robert's
right, Robert. Robert. Do you see that it's Robert? Okay. Hi, Robert.
I have LinkedIn going on the other side here, so I can see that.
Okay, you can spy on the other side. I cannot see that. Okay, good. Yeah, so but it's very important. Yes, organizations are not ships, because it's an interesting post, I think, that one. I find it hard to believe that an organization can change course from command and control to beta. It's hard to believe, but organizations are not ships. On a ship, you need a captain or something like that. Maybe there's to turn the wheel. Yeah, and a huge ship will take a long time to change course, but organizations are not like that. They are neither big ships nor speedboats nor rowing boats. So there's no changing. Organizations are not ships. They are webs of social relationships, and an insight can immediately change the organization. An insight that's changed. Yeah. So that's a very important, a very interesting point. Yeah. Oh, our organization is an oil tanker. I hate it when people bring it up. In Germany, we have a whole scene that uses this metaphor. Oh, we should be more like people. No. Organizations are not ships. Yeah. You do not need the wise captain shifting the course, and then it will take ages for the tanker to respond. That's not how it works. If people understand and integrate theory, if they learn, if they level up their level of consciousness, for example, the whole architecture can immediately change. For example, abolish budgeting, that would change the organization. Abolish bonuses, it will immediately change the organization. Yeah. So that's not like an oil tanker at all. I hate the oil tanker metaphor. I hate it. It's a lame excuse. The oil tanker metaphor is another lame excuse, right?
Well, again, it's an example of the many, I wouldn't say mindset. There are lots of beliefs that need to be held less tightly. If one is to pursue a more equitable, democratic, decentralized beta organization. So, but it's not that people are incapable of it. It's not as if you have a fixed mindset, which gets put out there a lot. And there's I think you talk about learned helplessness too, and then there's a back and forth about the language, but people are malleable. People are infinitely capable and able to change and able to accept new ideas. And I think there's there's 8 billion of us out here, and I'm sure there's some assholes, and there's some assholes.
Yeah, there's always assholes. Yes. But an organization can handle a couple of assholes, a percentage or 2 or 3 of assholes. Assholism is okay, and we can all be an asshole once in a while. It happens. Yeah. So assholism is not a big problem as long as the system keeps it at a minimum. Yeah, and alpha systems are great at letting assholism flourish. I never wrote that. I should write a meme around that.
What? That one
alpha
flew over my head.
Let assholism flourish.
Alpha is for assholes. Oh God.
Alpha is for assholes. Yes, the speed of our colleague here, Robert, he says yes. The speed of learning is variable. Fair. Yes, I think it's That's a great topic, by the way. That's why Circuit I created Comenius, a learning architecture. Comenius with a Q, Qomenius, because we were always looking for learning accelerators. That's part of open space beta. You need to accelerate the learning. How do you do that? Not with seminars, workshops, teaching, preaching, manipulating, getting on board, onboarding, all these command control, rolling out, implementing, all these
Driving.
fascist notions of driving people, yes, or being slightly participative, which is like sugarcoating the assholism. No. To speed up learning, we need certain methods, of socializing, of not really socializing, of social interaction, serious social interaction. So that's why we created little methods like tandem meetings. But open space is a great way of achieving that, of course.
Yeah, a group process.
Yeah,
yeah.
We many elements, let's say. Yeah,
yes,
and they cannot be like committees or something like that. Right?
Yeah. Well, committees is a fixed body.
Exactly.
Is a fixed body.
A mechanism of command and control.
Right. And
yeah, the speed of learning is infinite, but you need to accelerate it to create the transformation in 90 days. You need to do things to accelerate the learning. The problem is not people's willingness or ability to learn. The problem is that you need good method to accelerate it sufficiently so that you can get shit done. That's why open space is invaluable.
Yeah. And because there's no assumption and there's no judgment. I think that's a big thing. It's judgment that, oh, you don't know what I do, so you're not involved. You can't come along because you don't have all the information. I have the information. You don't get it. And I think the invitation is that come with whatever information you have. All of it will be here. You learn with each other, for each other, and you grow your mastery based on whatever information you have, the knowledge you gain from letting that information seep in, and practice turns to mastery. But not everyone comes in as a master. It's just not like a magic wand. It goes like that. People take time to learn, and it takes time to be exposed to material, to use the material. I mean, you can't just pick up a bass guitar. You just can't pick up a bass guitar and say, okay, okay, ding, 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 and I know 10 tunes. No, you have to. You can thumb it out. It's like any instrument, and that the work that we do, whether it's accounting, whether it's manufacturing, these are all our. We are the players, and these things are our instruments. We living beings, we beings of carbon and spirit, play the dead things of metal and steel and that. So, but
you need disciplined practice. You need apprenticeship. Sometimes you even need a master on your side to become masterful as well, and achieve mastery.
And this is a distinction. This is a distinction too. That but you're talking about mastery in this. Well, isn't that just command and control on a one-to-one basis? I'm dominating you. Well, no. I have okay, so don't deny me my expertise, but also you don't have the expertise. Let's share the expertise. We are with each other. We are for each other. We are on this group. We are in this ensemble. So I had to get over that a little bit too. It's like, oh, but if
the relation between master and apprentice, like between boss and underling, it's not. It's a totally different thing. It's also power over power with. Because the master also knows that she or he cannot belittle the apprentice.
To demonize.
Or often to perform, the master needs the apprentice. You need to perform in conjunction. That's a great example are the Flemish painters or the Dutch painters or the painters of old times who had
the Renaissance.
Yeah, like
Renaissance. Oh, there's a word. There's a word. Renaissance
painters as well. Yeah, of course.
Organizational Renaissance. We've talked about
so the master and the apprentice were both active in the painting. Like the apprentices painted the background and the simple parts of the clothing, and then the master would paint the face and the difficult parts of the clothing, whatever. Yeah, I'm just simplifying here a little bit, but or the groundwork is done by the apprentice, and then the details are done by the master, and so on. So even if we look at a Rembrandt, it's likely that others, it's 100% guaranteed, even in a certain times that others would have painted part of that painting as well, because that's how performance is always, it emerges from the with each other, for each other. Performance is
Yeah.
a collaborative act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
just
wanted to
because it's
offer another excuse, by the way. I have another one.
pardon me?
I have another excuse I want to mention, or
Bring it
pattern
on.
excuse, and that is, I call it the contempt motive of excusing, of trying to excuse yourself and not doing anything. I call it contempt because it means looking down on others. For example, and that's related to a topic that we discussed in another episode about cases and why cases are useless to convince others of beta.
Yeah.
Because of contempt. And the contempt thing goes like this. I might say, oh, Toyota does beta, very successful. You could do it too. And then what does the other person say? The person who's part of
Well, we're not Toyota. Yeah, that won't work here.
First, we're not Toyota. Yeah. And Toyota, how they do things, how they build cars, it's very simple. That's a contempt. What they do is very simple. Oh, Handelsbank, the bank does it? Yeah, but banking, I mean, it's super simple. It's really simple. Oh,
our business, we
Oh my
build software. We build software. That's infinitely complicated. You know, it's
Oh,
complex. It's not complicated.
software. What we do is always much more complex and challenging
Yeah.
and everything sophisticated than what they do. And that's how I call it contempt for everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, even if if a competitor would do beta, you would say, "Oh no," but our case is much more because we are in Western Germany and they are in Russia or in Turkey or in the US. Our quality is much better, so it's complicated here, you know. So there's always this contempt for the other who already achieved a better organizational model, and this is very strong. It's a powerful force.
And I said that software because I know there's some software folks. This is not to say software is easy. You know, we're saying that the ease is. The difficulty and ease is everywhere. It's just people getting together and collaborating and doing good work is
in every industry,
every industry, every situation. And yes, they're all unique in that there's also that there is, it is possible, it is desirable, it is an imperative to collaborate in every environment. I believe, and that collaboration works a different way, which that's another topic. But so we have some more here, right? Contempt. I like this. Contempt declares competition.
Yes, but a misunderstanding of competition, right? Brilliant comment here. Yeah, it declares a misunderstanding. It declares competition, but in a way, in our context here, we're talking about excuses of not doing the real thing, not doing the real lean, the real beta, right?
Yeah.
And to say no, they can. For them, it's easy, you know. But we must have command control. It's contempt for your own people. Usually, that's declared for your colleagues. Yeah. No, the Japanese can do, or the Toyota can do it. Handelsbank can do it. But our people are fucked up. Our business model is much more complex. No, all kinds of contempt are mixed in this. They can do it, but we cannot. Yeah. And it's not helpful. As a consultant, of course, I always argue, if they can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
Which is much more helpful.
What? They're better than you?
Huh?
Well, they're better than you? What is
exactly
about?
If those people, even at Toyota, humble Toyota with their factories, if they can do it, how can you in software development with much smarter people, how can you not do it? Be able to do it?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we have to grab people by their egos, right?
Yeah,
maybe.
Let's see if we had some other excuses out here. I do recall, like in the maturity level, middle managers. We talked about that. What was the other one? I shared it briefly. Yeah. Okay. Well,
complexity is often taken as an excuse for laziness to simplify or improve things or transform things. Yes, that's our colleague here, Robert, wrote this. And
yes,
you can bring it up. Even complexity can be an excuse. True, there's a complexity. Oh no, we're suffering from more complexity. Yeah, it's used as an excuse. Today, everything is used as an excuse, and ultimately, it's just. Well, I think what we need to overcome the excuses. I think insight matters.
Mm.
We consciousness insight helps us to overcome the lazy excuses, because ultimately most of these excuses are rather vague or lame, or
But insight, you can't force insight into someone.
exactly.
That's I think that's a big piece of this, of beta, is that, for me at least, you've got to pause. You have to think. You have to think. Well, why do I? What? It, think, at least for me, I'm not perfect. Thinking sometimes is difficult to actually focus and give yourself some space to not just go "Brrrr," and but to think of, um, well, why is a command and control authoritarian? What's it about? So engaging with the concepts and being willing and being curious. I think there's a piece too. And then we talk about contempt.
Yes.
There's a wonderful book called, From Contempt, or From Curiosity, I say this, Contempt to Curiosity, by Caitlin Walker, about, the it's about clean language, but I think the title of the book is just so wonderful, and how we get about it. But that to move from this place of contempt, like, oh my gosh, how can you do this? Or what are you talking about? To, how might that work? Okay.
Yeah.
And pause to think about it. So thoughtfulness towards insight, and then you
And
get that insight
and you
that
were
that
also right.
helps
You are
you
also
get
right. You
your.
just highlighted that beautifully. Insight is not enough. Insight is necessary. I think it's a precondition to have some insight. W. Edwards Deming called that knowledge. You have to gain knowledge to understand your predicament and possible solutions. And so you need knowledge, but that's not enough. You also need, we always call this will. You need the will to change something. For example, yesterday in my workshop, we had this discussion about alpha and beta and how alpha is wasteful. Budgets are bullshit. Allocation, resource allocation, cost management is complete bullshit, and that they were all finance managers, controllers, so that resonated with them. Ultimately, all cost management is dangerous, bogus, nonsense, bullshit. We talked about this, and then one guy, he said, like, I hate it when we still have budget left at the end of the year. They still have budget, of course, right? So he said, I hate it when we have budget money left somewhere, and then those people hire 5 people, useless, for no purpose, but we just hire to burn the money. I hate it when they do it. So that kind of willpower to fight the waste, it's also necessary. It's not enough to just have the insight. Oh, there's waste. We shouldn't have a budget. It's not enough. You also need to have
That's
the
it.
will to fight it, to confront it, to
It
banish it, to
this is exactly why
drive it
open
up.
space technology works. This is what you're talking about is what open space technology is about. That the input criteria for open space technology is a burning business problem that you have. You're desperate. I doesn't say in the criteria,
Yes.
but a
Or
burning problem that has no single answer, no one right answer, lots of diversity of opinion, lots of potential for conflict, and a deadline of yesterday. Right. So those things,
yes.
and then that
That's
energy.
an very American way to frame these things, but yes, they are right, right?
Well, okay, so may
But
he rest in peace, Harrison. It's not about that. But
yeah,
what I was going to say is you're talking about the want and the will. That
yes,
that again, beyond that open space is about passion and responsibility. So what do I have heart and meaning? What has meaning for me, and what am I willing to go to the mat for?
yes.
What do I really really want? And
And
then
there is no
you go and
substitute for the willingness, right? Because
no.
that's an inner thing. It is the self-discipline. Here, our colleague Robert, he wrote, will equals discipline. Yes, there's no discipline without the willpower, right? That's yeah, you need the will, the want, or to quote U2, you need desire. Yeah, and that's an inner thing. You cannot oblige. You cannot push desire in a. I'm not sure what other words there are in English. I'm still looking for the best word for this. Will, it is easily misunderstood. Willingness is way too
Compulsion.
lame.
That's a good one.
What?
I am compelled. I am
Com
compelled to do this. But that's an
compel
inner
is there a
compulsion. Maybe not. No, I'm not going to compel you.
compulsion? Interesting. Okay, yes. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Maybe we have to invent a
Fire.
word.
Oh yeah,
Fire,
there
to
you
be
go.
on fire. This girl is on fire. I love that song as well. Alicia Keys. Oh, I would like to be friends with Alicia Keys. I think she must be.
Oh, I'm
No, I
sure she's
really
very
mean it.
friendly.
I think she must be a very interesting person. Oh, amazing
Definitely.
musician, and composer and producer and everything. Yeah, good. So yeah, you need insight, but also the will, the inner energy to act, right? But because
Yeah.
insight alone is not enough, you also need to act it out. It must come out and transform into action. For that, you need will to do it. To act
Yeah.
accordingly and so on. Soul on Fire, is that a song that Robert wrote here?
Yes, I think it
You
is.
gotta wanna. What is that? Is that another song?
No, above the door in my high school.
Marching band room. Okay. You gotta wanna. Is that something that was written in the school? You gotta wanna.
That seems like a proprietary statement
Sounds
in
like Eminem.
Robert school.
You gotta
So
wanna.
maybe I don't know.
It's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, you gotta wanna. But there's so many
Yeah,
allusions to that. I think it's a very important theme. You need to
yeah,
create the learning, the insight, the knowledge in people, and then they must have a will to act. Otherwise, we cannot even help them doing the transformation. Quite
yeah,
honestly, as Ernst Weichselbaum says, the will of the entrepreneur there is no substitute for the will of the entrepreneur. That's what he says.
mm,
There's no substitute for the entrepreneur's will. Without the will of the entrepreneur, which might be a CEO or general manager or
mm,
the owner or something like that, you cannot move forward without that will in the entrepreneur. You cannot force anybody to transform. You cannot the
yeah.
organization. You cannot force.
Eh,
Yeah, there must
This
be
is actually
proper will. Yeah, then to turn the person into a sponsor, as we call it.
yeah. Oh, and I think
Some people
that
would say leader, but
that's a wonderful topic for an episode because that there's a difference between sponsorship and authoritarianism, right? So
yeah,
there's
or
or
flaky
personal.
notions
I
of
mean,
leaders and being a sponsor. It's very different.
leaders are not every spot. Yeah, whatever. There's a distinction between sponsorship and sponsors and leaders. God, that word leadership. Good God.
Yes.
It's been turned inside out in 10 different ways from Sunday. Oh, my goodness.
How long have
Any
you
other
been
excuses?
ranting on?
We've been
How
ranting for an hour and 9 minutes. That three
I should
three
know what.
minutes of those were mine trying to fill the space.
You should have played
In
the bass.
my lack of communication that yes, we're starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time,
I'm so sorry
12:30.
that I arrived late. I'm so sorry. But we cannot cut it out. It will be everybody will notice that arrived late. That I was
Well,
sloppy
no,
today.
I that is the beauty of this space, that it is whatever happens is the only thing that could have happened. We're right here. We will leave it as it is. Um, we are, of course, looking for people who wish to help us cut this content into little snippets, maybe put it into a podcast,
Yes.
share it widely and generously
Yes.
with each other, for each other, right?
Make it distributable, because currently we're still broadcasting this through YouTube mainly, and of course these access points through LinkedIn and so on. But we would like to move this content to the streaming platform. So we need another colleague or so chipping in, helping us to do that.
Someone who
Yeah,
has passion wants to take responsibility for this whole thing.
exactly. Who has the knowledge and the will to do
Knowledge
that.
and the will, and purpose, will, vision, all that these are all wonderful topics that we can explore too. And there is no dearth of topics for us to make distinctions on, and to tell those of you out there who are watching this whenever you are, that beta is possible. Beta is for you, no matter who you are, and beta will make the world a better place. And so that I think I'm gonna drop tap the mic on that one. But
Everybody counts or nobody counts.
everybody counts or nobody counts. All right, my friend. Anything you want to say? So, thank you, Robert, for all your contributions today. And
Yeah,
be
thank you.
more beta, man.
Yes, let's be more beta. Let's make beta. Let's more. Amen. Giddy up. I love American language. Giddy up. I love that. But that's not exclusively American, I think. The British say that as well, right? Giddy up. I do not know what it's just brilliant. I love it. I think there is a level 42 song that uses this giddy up. No? We have to check that.
Yeah. Well, I'm ashamed if I don't know every single level 42 song. That's
I
a
know
problem.
every single level 42 song.
Then we go to the green room. We'll talk about level 42.
Giddy up.
Giddy up. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week, and be more beta.